Hey guys, it's Sarah and I'm back today with my BooktubeAthon wrap-up. So BooktubeAthon ended a week ago and I did a lot better than expected. I didn't read all 7 books, but I finished more of the challenges than I thought I was going to finish, and I still managed to read 5 books, which I think is pretty impressive. For me. Anyways, moving on. So the first book that I picked up was Saints by Gene Luen Yang, and this is the second book in the little series of Boxers and Saints, and I kind of wish that I'd gone back and reread Boxers, but that book is, it's a graphic novel series, but that one's a lot larger. This one's actually pretty reasonably sized. I just felt like I was missing a little bit, and there were characters and stuff that were alluded to, and I was like, oh, I vaguely remember that, like I vaguely remember the history of that, but I don't specifically remember that. So yeah, I wish I had kind of gone back and looked at that again, or like done my research. I just don't know enough about the history that goes on in these. I like the characters in these books, and I think he makes a good argument for both sides. Like, he makes it so he's not just fighting from one side versus the other. It's very much like, these are people and these are humans, and they are full, and they have their reasons for believing one thing versus the other, and they have their faults, and yeah. So I like that about this series. It was good to read because I read it really quickly and it was engaging. So yeah, good book. Probably, I think I rated it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, just because like I said, I felt like I was missing something, or it just wasn't quite a 5 out of 5 for me. I don't know what it was. It just like wasn't, something was missing for me there. I do really like his artistic style though, and just his storytelling. And I'd love to read more from Gene Luen Yang. I've heard excellent things about American Born Chinese, which he also wrote, and yeah, so hopefully I can pick that up sometime later this year. The next book that I read was an ebook, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but that was I Am the Messenger by Markus Zusak, and that was my pick for read a book by your favorite author, I think it was. So Saints fulfilled my read a book with yellow on the cover. So anyways, I loved I Am the Messenger. It's very different than obviously what you're gonna get or what you got out of The Book Thief, his other book, and that's why I chose him as one of my favorite authors, because I love The Book Thief, and I just love his writing style, and I know not everyone loves that book, and I know not everyone loves his writing style the way that I do. I tend to like imagery and this sort of writing he gives you, there's a lot of like characterization in his books, and he has a way of just like stabbing you in the heart and making you feel everything all at once, and just like ripping you apart and building you up in the best possible ways, and just making you like look at the world from a different view and look at the world in a different way, and giving you a new perspective on life. And I feel like his books, I don't know, they always just like speak to me in a way that I really like. So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed that book. The next book that I read was Bridget Jones' Diary by Helen Fielding, and this was chosen for, what was this one? Oh, this was the book to movie adaptation, and I don't own Bridget Jones' Diary. on DVD, and I was just planning on reading it because for a while there it was on Netflix, and then of course Netflix took it off. So yeah, I sort of failed in the watching department, but oh well. I still read the book and I finished it. And yeah, I had certain issues with this book just in general, and I figured I would because I knew that the format was like diary entries with calories and stuff like that, and I knew that I wasn't going to be so into like, you're such and such weight and you ate this many calories, and that's just like never been my interest. And so I knew I was going to have like some sort of body image, like like, oh gosh, like that it would make me mad in some way. And so yeah, I knew that, and I sort of tried to just like roll with it, you know, like I know that this is kind of like stuck in a time, and this is like very much this is the first time I've read it, so I think like maybe if I'd read it back in the day and I sort of had grown up with it, it would be like a nostalgia love, where it's more of like I had seen the movie and I loved the movie when I was younger, and like I had grown up watching the movie. It's like this great chick flick that there was, and yeah, and so there's a love there, but I felt like certain things I missed because it was very British, and so there was like some allusions to things that I was like, okay, I don't quite get that reference, or like I don't quite understand language-wise where they're coming from. So there was stuff like that, but overall it was just a fun read. Like, I really didn't want to pick it apart at all. It was just a fun, like a nice kind of beachy, like, oh, we're gonna go back in time a little bit and like read this. And there are just like certain things that I will always love about Bridget, because she embodies like kind of the crazy in all of us, and like not the crazy, but like the sort of erratic like thinking, and like this, like when you just want to go off on a tangent, or when you like can't control your brain and it's just like the worst thoughts, and you know, and so it's like she like lets it all like loose in these diaries entries, and so it's like fun to kind of read and be like, oh gosh, like what are you thinking, like why are you doing that, like what is wrong with you, but then know that like we all sort of have those like crazy moments where our brain just like goes there and we can't do anything about it, and it like drives you insane, but it's not really what you would logically do. It's more of like your brain just being like, oh, like what, oh, he must be doing this, like, oh, it's got to be this because blah blah blah, and like your brain goes there, but you don't really want it to. Anyways, I like this. The fourth book that I finished was Anne of the Island. Nope. Anne of Avonlea, sorry. Which is the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series. And this was for the challenge, I think it was read a book that's older than you. And so, yeah, I finished this, and this was just a continuation of what happened in Anne of Green Gables, and I love this entire series. I love Anne Shirley, I love Marilla, I love every single character in this book, in these books. So yeah, I think there's just like a point where you're reading and you're just like, I love all these people, like I have nothing wrong, and so it's just like a fun, nice, like simple kind of read that you just are rooting for everyone. And yeah, and I mean it's very much like of a time period where you're like, who would think about doing that, or you know, like all these kind of kooky things happen to these characters, you know, with the selling of her neighbor's cow, and then they become friends. But then I love that she just like becomes friends with everyone. Like I love that Anna is just like so open and friendly, and like kind of embodies that like she can just be friends with people, you know, like she's just nice, and everyone, like even though they, you know, I don't know, they think she's like erotic or what, like not erotic, but like erratic, that's what I'm thinking. She thinks she's like a little bit erratic, and like, you know, kind of like has all this bad stuff coming for her or whatever, you know, but she like works so hard, and she's so thoughtful and she's so sweet, and yeah, and she's so like determined in what her goals, and she's so like willing to give it up, you know, take care of Marilla and take care of the twins, and when she like befriends Miss Lavender and helps her, and I just love, yeah, I liked reading this book and I love this series. And the last book that I read most of but didn't manage to finish was A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. I never read this in school, and so I have always wanted to finish it. I think it's one of those books that I just like had heard kind of vague things about and knew it was like classic that a lot of people really liked, or a lot of people had like specific thoughts on. And so I read it, and the challenge that I had picked this up for, because it was small, I was like, well, I'll read this for the after sunset challenge. But of course, it is basically written in like a different language that you have to essentially figure out as you're reading the book, and it made it so hard to get into when my brain was like tired and it's dark outside and I kind of just wanted to go to sleep, and my brain was like, I'm so done with this. Why can't you just call milk milk? Why can't you just like say your lips are your lips and your face is your face? Like, but I loved, like, once I got into it, I really, really liked the story. And even though these characters are like terrible, like they do terrible things, like there's no excuse for them, like they're just like terrible people, I just liked how the story played out, and it said so much about free will and the role of the government and what do we do about criminals. And I think I've I don't know, I've had those thoughts in my mind lately, like what do we do? Like I'm just always fascinated by criminals and like what motivates them, and you know, and so I find this topic fascinating enough that I think once you get sort of into the book and you're willing to give it time to like translate it and really get to know these his use of language, and like, you have to know language so well to make it work that well for you, to make it work like it's supposed to work but in a totally different way, and to just like that adds something so like next level about a story when an author takes the time to specify characters. Like, he set these characters so far apart from other characters in the book because they use this language, and so he sort of put you into this, like, you're coming into this world but you're sort of a part of the public that's watching these people, and so you get this weird view of like you're in his narrative, and so do you believe his narrative, or do you, like, you're still a part of the outside? I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's very much like you're always comparing, contrasting, and sort of trying to figure out who you sympathize with, and you don't want to sympathize with this horrible human, but it's like, do you feel bad for him because he was put through these psych experiments against his will, or like, do you think that was right? And so it makes you think too about how we treat criminals and what we do for criminals. And so do you treat them psychologically, or do you treat them like by just locking them up in the jail? So yeah, it's interesting. And also from a psych perspective, the basically what they do is apply behavioralist concepts and ideas in this book when they're pairing the terrible images and the stuff that he is supposed to like get turned on by, and his like nausea and those feelings that he gets. And so it's interesting for me because I've done just like a lot of research on that and had a lot of classes and stuff like that. So reading it in a book just, yeah, it made this all the more interesting. Yeah, So anyways, that is all the books that I read for the readathon, and like I said, I didn't read all 7 books that I was planning on it, but I think I did still a really good job about getting the books done that I did get done, and I'm still really happy about everything. So yeah, let me know how you did in the comments if you participated in the BooktubeAthon yourself. Let me know what you think about these books, if you have certain thoughts on them, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.